Happy Sunday, everyone. Good afternoon. I am all of a sudden seeing a little box on the right side of my screen. It's really weird. Now it's throwing me off. Let me see if I can get that off. Oh, it went away. Good. That was throwing me off, seeing a double part of me there on the screen. So, well, happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully somebody will pop on real quick. And I am live after all. This is not pre-recorded, just so you know. This morning was not a good morning for me, so I had to make a last-minute decision to not go and be at the craft fair. And I have an opportunity next weekend, but I don't know that that's going to happen either, just because we have on stage at home with Stampin' Up. So, and I want to be celebrating that as well. So it's just a conflict. So, but I'm glad that you're joining me today. And if you are not familiar with who I am, my name is Barbara Ragsdale, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And if you're not familiar with Stampin' Up, we are a paper crafting company that specializes in catering to all levels of crafters, no matter who you are. If you don't know who Stampin' Up is, if you did it in the past and came back, hi Landa, or if you're an occasional stamper, like you do it every now and then, or maybe you're an avid stamper, you do it all the time, you love it, it's your hobby, you take advantage of sales, you become a demonstrator, whatever it might be. Stampin' Up has whatever you need in order to serve you. We have coordinating papers, whether it's cardstock, designer series paper, the inks that go along with it. You won't find these kind of things in your Hobby Lobby or your Michaels, and if you do, you're going to have a hard time matching, but Stampin' Up takes all that guesswork out of it for you. So the products I have used for literally almost the last 20 years. I believe in them. They are quality products. Yes, we do have some issues sometimes, but most of the time they are quickly resolved when it comes to manufacturing and things like that. But I enjoy what I do. It is my therapy, not just my mental therapy, but it's also my physical therapy as well for my hands, to keep my hands moving. So, and I will tell you that right before the video, I logged on to my spin the wheel, and I promise you last night I did all of the names, all of the shares from last week's video, and I'm gonna go do it again just to make sure, but I go to open up the wheel in order to do the drawing for last week, and the last one it shows me was the one I did for the sunflower home decor. Hi Michelle, hi Veronica. So I don't know where my wheel is from yesterday, and so in order to be fair, I'm gonna have to go back. I think I might have not saved it. That's a real strong possibility. So I can't do a drawing right now, only because the last wheel in there does not have, there were much more names in this last go around than the one before, and I want to be fair, especially to the new people that joined or that watched the replay or did some sort of comment. So, but that's how you get entered into the drawings to win what I'm doing. You can like, you can comment, or you can share any of my videos. If you share, you get 2 entries, so there's more opportunity for you to win. And it also helps me too to get my name out there and see if anybody else wants to join us on Sunday afternoons and learn some techniques, learn how to make some projects using the Stampin' Up products. So when you do watch the videos, all of the products that we use are Stampin' Up. You're not going to find anything else. So I'm sorry about the drawing, but I'm going to have to, after the video, I'm going to have to quickly go back and recreate what I did last night, and then hopefully save it, and then I will jump on live really briefly just to do a drawing so that we can give away. Let me go ahead and show you, because the giveaway were the monthly special cards for the month of October, the online ordering special. And every month I have an online ordering special. This last month, there's the cat. Mikey's in the kitchen, and so obviously the cat thinks it's time to eat, so he's meowing like, hey, don't forget me. But every month I have a monthly online ordering special, and if your order is $25 or more, you get a free kit in order to make the cards I'm about to show you. All you have to have is literally the stamps. I can't do any of the stamping for you, but I can do as much die cutting, regular card cutting as I possibly can. And I think what I'll do is, let me just show them to you this way, and then when I point the camera down, I will show them to you. It's going to be a kit, and I'll show you the details when I point the camera down, as well as the host code special, the host code, I just said that right, and the QR code. So when you're watching the video, you can scan the QR code and it takes you straight to my website and automatically plugs in that host code. So whatever you purchase from that point on for me, as long as it's $25 or more, that's how I know through those host codes who all I need to cut kits for, how many kits I need to cut. So, but today I wanted to finally showcase. I've had this for probably a couple of weeks and have just been so busy that it was on my schedule sometime soon. But today, when I said let's celebrate our curves, I wasn't talking about our bodies, although we should celebrate our curves, ladies, if you are curvy. And but Stampin' Up! Has 2 stamp sets and a set of dies that actually is our, it's an exclusive and an early release product that only demonstrators can get right now. And we've been able to order this since the beginning of the month. I can't remember the exact date, but at the beginning of the month, and only demonstrators can still order it. We're still in a pre-order status. So that means that right now only demonstrators can order. It's not going to be available until customers until November the 3rd until January the 4th. And then one of the stamp sets is actually going to continue into the January to June or July catalog, the next mini catalog. I think that's what it is. So I can show you a little bit more when I point the camera down, but let's go ahead and get started. I have 2 cards for you. I did 1 card from each stamp set just to show you what all you can do with these Curvy Christmas. It's Curvy Christmas and Curvy Quite Curvy. Quite Curvy and Curvy Christmas. So let's go ahead and look at those, and then I can show you the paper. We're going to do a little bit of embossing today. So I'm only doing 2 cards because both of them are just a little bit involved. They have a few extra steps. It's not simple stamping, but it requires a few extra steps. And I've already done all the die cutting. We're just going to do a little bit of coloring and a little bit of embossing. So let's go ahead and let me get these down. Chris is doing his laundry today too, so you may hear the beep beep of the laundry machine and the dryer. So here we go. Get there pointed down. That way you can see and scan that complete QR code. I'm going to move the light down a little bit more. But these are the online ordering special cards for the month of October. This was the 4th one. I didn't do this one when I did these other 3 last week. So we've got this one, this one, and this one. And so that would be the kit. If you had placed an order with me and it was $25 or more, you would get all of the paper, all of the die cuts. This is actually embossed, so you would need embossing tools as well. But you can clearly add that to that way you do have it. And I'm going to be showing you those products today. So these are the 4 cards that you would get in the month of October as a free kit in order to make when your order is $25 or more. So let's put those away and let's show you these stamp sets for these, we're calling them Curvy Celebrations. And these are the 2 stamp sets. Sorry, I have one of the stamps we're going to be using right here, so I wouldn't lose it. So let me see if I can put it over here. Use it. But we've got Quite Curvy, which Quite Curvy is it's going to be featured in the January to June 2021 mini catalog. So this is actually something that you can still get early, but it will be in the next catalog, in the next mini catalog. And I don't know if you can see all that, but you've got some vines, you've got some birdies. There's the vines, the birds, even this little bitty thing right here, this right here. And then you have all these curvy sentiments here that go with this particular stamp set. And then you have Curvy Christmas, which these are all Christmas related, either sentiments or little pieces of our pictures. And there's no dice for this except for, I think, I have to double check. I think I put all the dies in here. There we go. I put all the dies in here. Yeah, all the dies that, oops, it's stuck. All the dies are for this stamp set right here. So you've got some really cute, hi Marianne, really cute pictures and sentiments here for this one. And we're going to be using this one today and this one. And may your days be merry and bright for our Christmas one. So let's go ahead and get started. We're actually going to get started with this one right here. I wanted to use cherry cobbler and shaded spruce with a little bit of memento black ink there. So we're going to be doing this one first. And before I do that, I want to show you the paper, because there's also a variety bundle. And the variety bundle will include both of those stamp sets I just showed you, but it also includes the dies, and then it gives you a pack of 6x6 paper. So let me fan all these out so that you can see. It's the same design, but you've got cherry cobbler, shaded spruce, and this lighter color is Sahara sand. But let me see if I can pick those up and bring them a little bit closer. So you've got all these. You can see some of the same patterns. They're replicated just in a different color. And then when you flip it over, you know all our paper is double-sided. You've got a completely other design on the back. Cute. Those are Christmas trees, by the way. When you look at them, they're Christmas trees. And you've got 48 sheets of this paper. And it comes in a 6x6, in 6x6 packaging. And then I want to show you what the dies do. Because in the dies, you've got all these dies right here. And with this particular die set, you have to pay attention to how you're using the dies. And I have a couple of tips for you along the way. But I want to just show you. Like for this die right here, which is what I used on this card right here. It's actually this die, and here's just an extra cut piece where it all depends on, if you look at the back of your die, you've got, I don't know if you can see that from here, but I know you can see the little dots, but on the top side right here, you've got this ridge. That actually is part of the die, and it will cut. I don't know if I can turn it and you can see it, but trust me, there's a ridge there. I don't know if you can see a shadow, but so depending on when you put your paper in, if I put my paper in with like this and the ridge is on the outside, what I'm going to do is once it goes to the die cutting machine and you take it off, that's where it's going to cut, and then you can see the little bitty the little bitty dots that it cuts along the edge of the curve. Now the opposite of that is this other side. If I wanted to cut it and I didn't want the dots, I would use the other side. And what happens is when you use the other side, it just gives you the clean break in paper. And I've got one to show you that's not broke all the way through like this particular sample is. So, but there is two. You just have to make sure when you put it in your die, which way do you want your curve to go and which side do you want cut as the finished side. Do you want these little dots, these circle little punches, or do you want it smooth? And so that's what that one does. Now we have this one right here, which has got some like a scallop lace edge to it. Something fun. And I used this piece of paper just to show you the same thing on the back. You've got all these raised edges that will cut out that little flower or whatever this little design is. But on the edge right here along the bottom, you've got a raised edge that will cut a smooth line. And I'm going to show you by just putting this on here like this. This is how I put this die in the paper. So, and I purposely did it sideways, that way you could see the two cuts. That long cut is on the bottom, so this other side would give you a curve like that. Or you also have the option of using the line on the inside so that it gives you these curves, this decorative curve on that side as well. So it all depends on how you want to use these dies. And then you have this one. You've got this long one right here that actually represents you. I think I cut out there for a minute. If I'm live, let me know. It tells me I'm still live. But anyway, you have a vine with little pieces of ivy on that one. And they're all raised. And what's going to happen is when you put that through your paper, this is going to happen. You're going to have all these little cuts. I know you can probably see maybe the vine, but all those little pieces fall out. And you can use those pieces, but I wanted to, yes, good, thank you. I'm not sure what happened there, but hopefully the connection will stabilize and stay this way. But I wanted to show you what, excuse me, I didn't have a drink this morning, so my mouth is dry. I wanted to show you what this die also does without any of those things coming out whenever I ran them through the die cut machine. And look, this is actually what the die looks like. It's this long kind of ivy die, and you're probably wondering, well, how in the world did she get them to stay in there? Well, this is a tip. If you're going to be using this die and you want all those little bitty pieces to stay in there, whatever you're going to be die cutting, I just put tape on the back of that entire little section and then ran it through. Now some pieces might pop out. I think I had that one pop out, but once it popped out, I just put it back in and it actually stuck back to the tape that's underneath. But you're not going to have all these little bitty pieces pop out like that, like this particular one did. And you could, if you wanted to put it like a two-tone, if you wanted maybe some white to show through, you could. Or another color, you could. But I wanted all of these pieces on this example to show you how to be able to keep those on. So just put a piece of tape on the back. And I just used regular Scotch tape, and it helps keep them together when you pull the die out. You can also pull them out really, really slowly too. That helps to keep them from popping out. So let's go ahead and get started on our card. Got a few steps here. We're just going to be working with some Whisper White. So we've got our base going on here. Let's go ahead and fold our base. And this is going to be a landscape card. And when I mean landscape, the card's going to be opening like this. And then a piece of cherry cobbler that we're going to put down. Let's get that going. Look, that's one of those loose pieces that popped out. I don't know where that came from. So let's get our base down. This is just a standard 4 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of cherry cobbler. And we're going to make sure we're getting that on even. And I'm going to bring this out a little bit and see if, I don't know that that's going to work. But anyway, and then I went ahead and did all the die cutting for these, and I used a sheet of Whisper White. And then I used this side of the Designer Series paper. And we're going to end up butting those up against each other. So I'm going to put the piece of Designer Series paper down because we're going to be doing some stamping on that other Whisper White piece before we put it down. This is super sticky. I'm using the Seal Plus is what I'm using. Okay. So we'll get that down first. And then notice I have a sentiment going on there. It says, wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So let's find, yeah, it's that one. And you could choose to stamp it in either the shaded spruce or the cherry cobbler, but I decided just to go ahead and use the Memento ink. And because this is photopolymer, I want to bring out my little foam mat here. And then I'm not going to move it because it's already on there, but you can actually curve these even more. These photopolymer stamps are so movable that you could really move it to however you need to. And I'm going to show you another tip on the second card, how to get it lined up with your stamp. On this first one, I just kind of manually did it. I mean, I moved it into place, but it's not going to be exactly with the stamp. It's pretty close, but not quite. Okay, so now we have that piece, and we're going to put that piece over this piece of cherry cobbler and the piece of Designer Series paper that we put down. And I just follow the curve there to make sure it sticks at the end. And we're going to do the same thing with this one. Just kind of center that over. It's going to overlap this Designer Series paper. And then we're getting there. Now, I've already gone ahead and done one piece, but I need to do this piece and the little birdie. And for those, we're actually going to be using, I'm going to sit down just for a second, but we're going to be using Shaded Spruce Light and Dark, and then Cherry Cobbler Light and Dark. But for this one, I'm just going to use the dark one, and then I'm going to use the light one. It all depends on what you want to use. And bear with me here while I color it. I just want you to see that before your eyes, I can't do this sitting down, I got to do it standing up. Standing up and bending over so I can see what I'm doing. I want to color all of the little leaves, all of the little trunks to the flower. You'll just start to see color popping up on this. I should have drank something before I got over here. Okay, and then all these little small ones, you can just do a little dabble of ink on there. These markers actually dry really, really quick. They're alcohol based. Make sure I got everything. Go back. Little spots I have. Make sure I got all the little green parts. I think I did. If I didn't, I'll go back and touch up later, but there's all the part. And then with our light cherry cobbler, no, I couldn't compete with the dryer sound there. We're going to color our little flowers. Just color those in, and these actually can be any color. We have lots of colors of these blends in our product line, and they come in color combo sets. So for the light ones, you'll get a dark one, and I believe they're still $9. Okay, there we go. And then I also did a birdie looking to the left, and I did a birdie looking to the right, and we'll kind of color those. I guess I could have left this one open. So let's just color this little birdie. I'm just going over once, and then I'm going to use the darker one to go back over the areas where maybe his tail is, top of his body, his little chest. There you go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the light shaded spruce. Oops, wrong one. Open the wrong one. And this is light shaded spruce. And I'm not watching comments right now because I'm trying to color, but if you're joining us, thank you for joining us. Remember to like, comment, and share to get entered into the drawings to win, to have a chance to win the projects that we're doing today. And then go back over it with the dark shaded spruce, just to give him some more color here and there. Okay. So here we go with putting this down. Now these come in long pieces like this, and what I did for this particular card in order to get it to look like that is I took a piece of this and I actually cut it right around here. I just cut it to get an even little piece, and with dimensionals, dimensional on the back of that one. I'm going to put a mini one. I have this one right here just to fill in that extra little space. And then for this one right here, I ended up cutting off the top of this just because it looked weird when I left it on the first time. I cut that piece off, and then let me put a couple of dimensionals on this one. Get those backings off. And then on this one, I put it right here up on top of that one. And then for the birdie, I just put a small dimensional on the back of him and stuck him right there, just so it looks like he's sitting on there. And then for this one, I cut it off right at the base of this last big one. And then let me use a larger one. We are right by the door in our little community here, and so whenever someone accelerates by the door, I get to hear them. And then let me cut this off just a little bit more. Let me trim that. There we go. We're going to put that right there. And then the little red birdie, I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of that one. And then I'm going to put this little birdie right here at the top. Now, I don't know if, I may go back and try to fix that little piece right there. I know y'all probably can't see that. You're like, what piece? But I can see it. But there's card number 1. And this card right here, this one actually uses the Quite Curvy. We used Wishing You the Happiest Birthdays. We used that birdie, and then we used that birdie. But there's also another birdie that has his tail pointing down that you could use. And then we used this piece of greenery vinery with the flowers on it. But you can see there's other sentiments that you could also use as well. I just chose a birthday one because I realized I don't do a whole lot of birthday cards, and I need to do more birthday cards. Hi, Dawn. I don't know if I can go back and catch up on my comments. Marianne shared. Thank you for sharing, Marianne. Starting to really love this set. I do too. After finally putting some use to it, I do too. This was the sample that I did, and then this is the card that we just did. So super cute. Super cute. So now let's do number 2. Not number 2 like that, but let's do card number 2. And this is the one where I have to find the lady that I saw this card, because I saw it on Pinterest and I saved it, but I didn't write her name down. And it's not exactly the same card because her technique was just a little bit different on the sentiment. And I get it. I get how she did it. But it was just easier for me to do it this way, so I did it this way. So it's really close to another card I saw on Pinterest. And if I can go find that tag and that save that I did, I'll make sure that I give her credit for this, because she inspired me for this one. I liked it. And again, we're going to use the same Curvy die. We're going to use different designer series paper. And I wanted to use the shaded spruce. I wanted to do a card in shaded spruce as well. And then Whisper White. But then we also have some embossing going on there. So let's get started on that one. Got all my supplies. This one has just a little bit more work to it because of the embossing. So let's go ahead and get our base out of the way. I like doing this so that I know this is my base and I don't go using this piece of paper to cut later. But I'm going to try to get as many pieces of paper out of commission here as possible. That way I don't accidentally stamp on them or use them up. So same thing. We're gonna center this one. And then there's also a piece of, there's a matte piece of Whisper White, which this one measures, this is 4 inches by 3.5 inches. And we can actually go ahead and get this one mounted onto our designer series paper. We're not going to be doing any stamping on this one, or there's no die involved. We just want a clean mat to put our designer series paper and our die cut piece on. So there's that. Hi, Joyce. And then let's go ahead and do our stamping on here. So remember I said I had a trick. We're going to be stamping in shaded spruce. And when I said we had a trick, let me find the die. Because when these, let me get the right stamp set. When these photopolymer stamps come on to these pieces of paper and you go peel them off, they can move a little bit depending on what you're doing. So what I did trying to find my sentiment. Here we go. Oh, that's the sentiment that's loose. Let me switch blocks here. Let me take the one we used from the first stamp off. And then this one says, "May your days be merry and bright." And so I have put that one on the block. Oh, I've got some ink right there. Let me clean that off. That's why we have baby wipes around. I knew there was going to be some ink on something somewhere. So I've mounted the stamp, the photopolymer stamp, on the acrylic block, basically the way it came off, but it doesn't go with the curve. Well, I guess it kind of does. I guess that was just lucky. Last night when I pulled it off, it didn't. But I want to go ahead and show you how you can. Well, no, we'll leave this one alone. We'll do it with the trees because I think the trees is a better example. So this one actually did kind of go with the curve a lot more than the trees does. So let's get our mat back, and we're gonna stamp along the bottom side of that die cut. And all you do, remember, all you do is you just gently tap the stamp against the ink, and then just make sure that you got good coverage. And then the best part about the photopolymer is you can actually see where you're going to stamp, and just give it a little bit of pressure. Don't rock it back and forth, and then lift it straight up. And then now you have a sentiment that goes along the edge of that particular part of the die. So let's set that one aside, and we're going to be working with this piece of designer series paper, which is in Sahara Sand. See, the opposite side has these holly looking images to them, and then this side just has, it looks like snow. Now there's another one that looks like stars, but I wanted to keep the snow one for this one, just because of the stamp and stars we're going to be doing there. So I wanted it to look like it was snowing. So let's put that there. And we're actually going to use, it's this stamp set right here, this one that has these stars going across. Let me pull that a little bit closer. That one right there. We're going to be using that one. And we're going to be embossing that one, because we want it to look like stars going across the sky. And so when we emboss, we use Versamark, which is just a clear sticky liquid. And make sure you ink up that image really, really well with your Versamark. And I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath this. And then we want, see if I can get this lined up. You want our stars to go across like that. And it's clear, you're not going to see it. You might be able to see a fine imprint afterwards, but you hear that sticky like that. Now let's see if, we've got some white embossing powder. We're going to sprinkle this over this image. Now let's put this off to the side, because remember last time I was working with embossing powder, I spilled it. And when you just shake it over the card, all of that embossing powder, and just flip it over and tap it, but all that embossing powder will stick to that wet part of the image. It feels gritty. Right now it feels real gritty. And so this right here, I'm just going to pour it back into that. And then I'm done with that, so I'm going to go ahead and close this up before I go spilling it. I'll turn on a fan too while I'm at it. And then let me take this off. And then we have our heat tool. So Stampin' Up! Has a heat tool that we're going to be using that one. And you can either hold it with your hands, or if you happen to have a clothesline pin, you can hold it like this. That way the heat is away from your hand. And then I'm going to bring it up just a little bit closer, and I'm going to turn it on high so that it goes faster. But as you see that embossing powder heat up, you're going to see it turn a real shiny color. So let me see if I can get it on here like this way. It's still heating up right now. Sometimes it takes a second for it to heat up. But once it does, I'm going to start following the lines, and you'll see that white start getting brighter. You can see that change right before your eyes, right there. And then I just go back over it again to make sure I didn't miss any spots. Well. All right, hold on. This happened the last time where I just had to unplug it. I dropped it not too long ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and I don't know what I did to it, but something clearly broke in my switch. So I thought I had it turned off, but it didn't actually turn off. It was staying on. Okay, so then now we have this piece right here. And then where is our card? And then we're going to put this piece down right here. But before we do that, I want to get a measurement of where this piece needs to go. And let me move this up just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just loosely matting those two pieces together. Just so that you can see you need to leave enough space. That's why this piece is not cut down too short, because I want to make sure I leave enough space where it overlaps and if I have to move it. But we're going to be stamping along the edge of this curve right here. But I didn't do it with that one because it was an afterthought. I want to do it, I want to show you, first of all, here's the stamp already mounted. But I'm not going to move this one because I've already done it. And the trick and tip I wanted to show you is, once you have this piece die cut and stamped, in order to get it lined up with your image, if you flip it around and put your piece of paper on your acrylic block, just make sure it's even. Make sure it's even on your block here, or straight, I guess you could say. And once it's straight, well, I guess I need to move it just a little bit. But do you see how that stamp follows the edge of the die cut? For right here, let's move that a little bit. I'm going to readjust it. That's the best thing about these photopolymer stamps, is you can really adjust these. So now you can see that that stamp goes in line with the curve, and then you can adjust it anywhere you feel where it needs to be adjusted just by pulling it down or pulling it back up. So when I go to stamp that image, it's going to be in line with the curve there, as opposed to my sample where I didn't use the block, I just kind of manually did it. You're going to get that particular feature where you're going to have this little bit of blank space right there. But if you line up your die with your stamp on your block, then it'll be even when you go to stamping it. So let's go ahead and get these two pieces down, and then we'll put this one piece on whenever we're done with our stamping. I'm just following the curve. And I want to make sure get some adhesive on the back of this one. Oops. We'll get that one closer to the top. We don't need an official 1/4 inch between those two. And then we'll get, I think it's just like a 1/8 of an inch difference. Okay. And then with our, what did I do with my shaded spruce? Here we go. I probably should have done that on before I stamped, but I'm feeling, how do you say, confident, I guess you could say. Just inking those up really, really well. I think what I'll do on here is just do this number where I'll put these other scrap pieces. Let me find another big scrap piece on this side. That way, if anything gets on it, it's going to get on these little scrap pieces. I should have stamped this before I put all this down, but that's okay. And then you're just going to line it back up. Give it some pressure. And then lift it straight back up. And then now you have your trees on there. And if you notice, the trees that I just stamped and the trees that are on there, these look darker. And that's because I went back behind with, I think I used the light one, but I think I'll use the darker on this one. I went back behind and literally colored each one of these trees. And I'm using the brush tip side, but you can certainly get away with the other side that's not so thick. It's the writing side. Unfortunately for this particular stamp set, there's no other die to help fill in for the color. So I think when I saw that she had hers colored, I was like, okay, she had to have used, I didn't finish looking at all her directions, but I'm like, she had to have used some ink in order to fill all these in. And this one's kind of messy, so I'm going to end up giving away, I'll either end up redoing it or giving away my sample. But I just colored in the trees a little bit more. There we go. Just to give them some extra. And then for the stars there, what I did is I took our chalk marker and just help color in the stars. That way they're a little bit more prominent in color as far as the white bright. That was a good tip from her as well. Because I don't know that I ever would have thought to do that, but there you go. There's card number 2. So let me bring, there's card number 1 back out. And then card number 2. And then we're using the Curvy Christmas, which this one is going to go away after, this was just a limited time. But don't forget, right now this is only available to demonstrators, these 2 sets and the paper. Curvy Christmas will go away whenever the season's over, but the Quite Curvy is the one that'll be in the next mini catalog, along with the dies. And the Quite Curvy stamp set is 41.25. And the Curvy Christmas one is going to be $21. The designer series paper is $11.50. Actually, the Quite Curvy comes in a bundle. It's the bundle for $45, which includes the stamp set and the dies. Oops, there you go. I'm looking at a piece of paper as I'm looking at this as well. So, but you also have the option of getting the whole bundle at $70.50. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get this pointed down. Get some of that light off me. Whew. Feels good to finally sit down. So I'll go back and look at the comments to see who I missed, but just remember, right now these stamp sets are only available to demonstrators. So if you're interested in getting these stamp sets today, or through I want to say it's the 4th, let me double check, the 3rd, I'm sorry, it is the 4th, then contact me. Because in order to do that, you'll have to purchase your own demonstrator kit, which, by the way, don't forget, is already a great deal, where you can choose $125 of whatever product you want for $99 plus tax. The shipping's free. You get to customize your bundle. You get a 20% discount on all your purchases. There's so many different benefits to being a demonstrator. And right now, the pre-order status for these products, that's one of the benefits. So if you're not familiar with that, demonstrators, usually the whole month before a product is released to the general public, we get that awesome opportunity to pre-order and play with all this stuff before the general public. And that's just a perk. So we enjoy those perks, and that's how we're able to bring you the demonstrations beforehand so that you can see the products in use before they're actually released. So if you're interested in those and you want to join my team, there's no obligation. No one's going to be knocking on your door. No one's going to require you to be selling or recruiting or being online doing videos. You can do this for the discount. If that's all you're interested in, you just want a discount on your quality craft supplies from Stampin' Up, it's perfectly allowable. And you'll be in the company of lots of other like-minded women. Trust me, there's a lot of people on our teams that do this just for the discount, and we love them. If you stamp, we will love you. It doesn't matter what level of stamper you are. So, but thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. Once I'm done, I'm going to go redo the drawing, and then I'll jump on real shortly whenever that wheel is ready. I'm sorry. Clearly, I didn't save the wheel from yesterday, so I'll have to go back and look at everybody from last week that liked, commented, and shared the videos in order to do a fair drawing to give away the three cards that I did last week from the monthly online ordering specials. So thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday afternoon to join me, and we will see you shortly. And if you missed the replay on the drawing, just go watch it later. But other than that, I will see you guys next Sunday at 3 p.m. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.